Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the very beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your Stockminer, Brian Johnson. It is downright hot here in Rapid City, where we are a balmy 60 degrees. Sun shining 100 miles an hour. Sat out on the deck most of the day. It's very warm. All right, the markets did nothing. Really, actually, it's pretty much what I expected. Expected a run in the first couple hours of the day, and then I usually just kind of expect a bunch of nothing for the rest of the day on days such as this, where we're going into a 3-day weekend. A lot of the major players, just they're not interested. They're already gone, or they're gone by lunch, or something to that effect. Now, today's move, of course, was up. However, it was mostly up to even start the day. It was just a gap, and then it ran sideways. So not much to really speak of from a day standpoint. However, from a weekly standpoint, wow, we had a lot of movement. We had this huge move down to start Monday, and then the bulls just said, okay, that was it. Took over from there and ran this thing up hard the rest of the week. Coming into the end of the week, we did have quite low volume. Market internals were flat. Not much to, like I said, talk about today, but the last few days, very, very, very good. And today, even with the no move all day, still ended up, considerably, about 0.5% in all of the indices. The Nasdaq making a huge return to the game. They have been lagging forever, and the Nasdaq this week really, really did a lot of heavy catching up. So hard not to be kind of bullish coming into next week. I'm going to give it a few days, let my brain rest, hit it again here for my subscribers on Sunday, and then I'll be back with all of you guys again on Monday. But here we got that break to the upside. No trading. We did break these overhead levels, which are good longs, but you know what? When we gap, it just is what it is. It's really hard to play, and that's all we saw all day was just wandering sideways. Here's that huge move by the end of the week on a daily. 3 huge candles up, breaking to new highs, holding the 50-day moving averages, just textbook. This whole move right here was nothing but a big bull flag. It ended up holding as a bull flag. Just a nice controlled pullback by the markets here before the big money started pouring back in. And earnings, once again, and I mentioned this before earnings season started, what we have typically seen is that good news or bad news, earnings have been good for the markets. They just pump them up during earnings. So it's been few and far between the earnings seasons we've had in the last year or two where the markets didn't run during earnings season. So no exception here again. And we're not done yet. Still got some room to go, but nice start for the bulls to get up and above all these levels by the end of the week. Here's the Nasdaq 60-minute. So we saw from here to here. This is hard to catch these moves, guys. These gaps stink. This is why it's really, really important to have individual stocks on your list to follow, and a good selection of them too. Maybe things that run all night. Maybe things that are diversified in different sectors and whatnot. All of that makes a big difference. Something I try to, I don't always succeed at it, but try to for my subscribers when I look for my setups is to try to kind of diversify, kind of spread it out a little bit. And this is why, when you get these type of moves, if you like to play the indices, I like to play the Qs, or I like to play the SPY or the diamonds or whatever, very difficult to play anything any direction when it gaps and then just moves sideways, gaps up and then just moves sideways. This is very indicative of what the markets did all day right here. I mean, there's no move from the time it opened. There's really nothing to even do here. Your daily range was 11 points high to low, but that's with the gap. So no, 11 points high to low. That's with the gap. There's just nothing to even talk about there. And that all happened. That 11 points happened within the first 2 hours of the day, and then it was nowhere for the rest of the day. Nasdaq looks great though from a daily. So if you've been in this thing or holding, look at this beautiful pullback. Wow, that is textbook pullback right here on a bull flag type of a look. This huge hammer candle ended up being exactly that, a huge confirmation candle, or a huge bullish candle for the moves into the next few days. These I'm always skeptical of, but this particular hammer candle I was very excited about. I liked where it was at and what it was doing. Wanted to make sure we got that confirmation, and the next day when we did, it was game on. Above 2300 would have been your trade this week. I know I mentioned that earlier on, and that would have, brought you out 75 points up or so by the time the whole week was done. So really, really nice move, getting up and over 2370. We talked about above 2360 to 2370, 2370 into 2390, which is my next overhead level here coming into next week, along with 2400, and for the week, crushing it. So this could be, this is looking very, very good right now. There is still an outside bear chance here, but I'm more 70-30 when it comes to bullish / bearish right now. Looking very good here from the bull side. We'll see what the weekend brings and hit it again, but we get up and over these levels, which I think we're going to do because we're seeing it in all the other indices. Something I talked about with my subscribers a couple weeks back was that I just expected them to make new highs eventually, and I think all of them will. So really be watching that coming into next week. For the week anyway, point being, we had pretty decent volume compared to the last few weeks and on only 4 days of trading. Zowie, that's pretty good. So bulls looking very, very good in here, holding that 20-week moving average, which was one of the levels we were talking about. Here into the 1340, 1339 area was my overhead. You can see the gap, small run, staying sideways, going nowhere for the day. Here, and here, look how beautifully we held these lower areas. 1305, a big line of support on our subscriber charts, and a good line of support right here. It held that one day where we had that dip to the downside, run right back up, and then that was the Monday. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can see nothing but bullishness. Nothing but bull skies coming your way. Back above 1340, 1345. Next levels to be watching to the upside. Still that small outside chance for the bears. But if you are short the markets, I would be a bit nervous if I were you coming in next week. So you're going to want to be very, very careful early on in the week if you are bearish on the markets. You'll want to watch that very closely at Monday's open. Overall, VIX way down to, look at this, way into the 14s. Man, for you options traders, this is the time to start looking for some trades coming into early next week. No question, as we break to new lows right down here. Look how long we held this area. We hadn't even hit this area for the last, 2 years? And now we not only have, hit it and hold, but now we hit it and closed below it. Yuck. So there's no fear in the markets right now. I think they absolutely expect more moves to the upside to be coming. I think everybody's expecting. This just shows me that there's just no fear. I think everybody's expecting those highs to come. Be watching for those next week. Apple 60-minute doing very, very well in and after earnings. 2.5% after the push from 320. Look, in 1 week we went from 320 to 355. Behold the power of the apple. So when it gets going, boy, tell you what, it's hard to stop this monster. Did very, very well, running itself all the way up. Big gaps here, hard to trade this because of the gap sideways motion, But you can see holding very well at 350, putting us up and around this whole new area of overhead resistance. I'll draw that in this weekend. It's up around 355 here, where it ended here. Anyway, if it's going to pull back, I'd watch very closely for it to hold right here at the 50 and or this blue line. It'd be a very logical place to pull back around the 345-ish area. And then from there, see if it'll hold. Otherwise, back above 355 is good strength. But look at this. Huge moves by Apple. If you are an options trader, even one well-placed options purchase, one good option call on Apple could make you some pretty decent change. Not have a lot of risk on the table, which I love. Okay, so back above 330, 335-ish, back above the 20-day moving average, which was starting to concern me a bit right here after we had 2 solid closes below the 20-week moving average. But this support line was my next major level to, this would have been my moment right here. Break below here, I'd have definitely called for this. Did not make it. Made right down to about 320, bounced straight back up. So Apple looking very, very strong. Earnings are going very well. And for the week, looking very nice as well. I'd consider maybe looking at this even a little bit heavier in the next week's trading, which we'll definitely be talking about come Monday. KFAS, same thing, kind of moving itself back up. chopping here a little bit. This move down, move back up. We get the gap, we get the moves in the morning, down, then up, then right back to kind of where we started. So no real strong trends happening within FAS and or FAZ. But by the week, showing good strength from the decent. I'm going to say decent strength from the financials. I mean, we really ended up where we started here. If you take a look, this would have been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday of last week is where we kind of ended up by the time we finished it all here. So you can see that the financials have been kind of sloppy back and forth. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from an FAS standpoint. So yeah, we're seeing a little bit of strength in the financials, but this isn't overpowering strength. Still waiting for them to really try to find their footing here and get something going. But so far, so good for financials. We had a week of strength. Very common to see that in a 4-day week coming into a major holiday like Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Very common to see the volume dry up and the bulls take over, and that's kind of what we saw. Lather, rinse, repeat for the week, really. This is very, very common into these type of weeks. So now, do we see a pullback next week? We certainly are due for one. Does that have to happen Monday? No, certainly does not. I think next week we do see a little bit of a pullback in the markets, but I would expect it to be very muted, very controlled. Still looking very bullish in the overall bigger picture. All right, so for the week, you bulls did very, very well. You bears got destroyed. Didn't do so hot. And it was pretty consistent all week long from a bull side. As you can see, after that major drop on Monday, it was just nothing but bulls the whole rest of the way. We did very well on the subscribers list. We got back into gold. We got back into oil. Did very well on those trades this week. The real winner of the week for us was VMed. I showed you one last week that I think ran about 13% for us. This one this week ran, we got in above 28 on this one, and this one by the end of the week was up 6% or something to that effect. It was up just 2.7% today. On a weekly, you can see that break right above 28 right here. Beautiful textbook break, and we got in, and that thing just ran for us all the way up. So we made a couple of dollars or so, $1.75 off that. More importantly, we made about 5%, 6%, whatever that would be from 28 up. So that's probably 5% or so on your money. And that's what I'm looking for. It's not just about, hey, did it run $5 or $10 like Apple is prone to do. It's also in the percentage. What percentage did you run? This one ran 6.6%. Apple for the week was up 7%. So you can see that percentage-wise, they both made me about the same amount of money this week. The money I had on Apple made me 7%. The money I had on VMed made me 6.6%. So a lot of it is about percentages. We've been doing very well lately on the subscribers list. Give it a whirl, guys. $1 a day, $28 a month, $1 a day. You can go back and look at my previous Monday videos. Just go right to the end, and you'll see that I put in what my trades were the previous week, and been pretty consistent lately. Certainly am not going to toot my own horn because that's about the time you get slammed by the markets. But I will just say, and I think I'm being very fair with this, that I have been very consistent in the markets for a number of weeks now. Had some winners, had a lot of winners, had some losers, but we protect those. I give entries, exits, targets, the whole bit. Listen, if you're in this, you better be out of it by now type of thing. I tell you that all in the subscribers letter so that you know exactly how to trade it, what to do, and when to do it, more importantly. So very, very important. Think about that over the weekend. I'll be back with you guys again. Oh, have a fantastic weekend and a wonderful Easter, guys. Really, rest your brains, come back fresh, and we'll see you again on Monday.